Hello there, and welcome to the Monday edition of Following the Truth. I'm Gary Zimak. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending a few minutes with me. I call this show an urgent message. That's because I have a message that I want to share with you. Essentially, what I'm about to tell you or ask you is for your help. I'm going to need your help. Before I do that, I want to make sure I read the gospel from today's Mass, today's daily Mass. It's pretty short. I just want to say a few words about it, but I only have a few minutes, so let me do the gospel, talk about it briefly, and then give you my urgent message. The gospel comes from Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. Jesus said to his disciples, so that's you and me, right? Stop judging that you may not be judged. For as you judge, so will you be judged. And the measure with which you measure will be measured out to you. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me remove that splinter from your eye, while the wooden beam is in your eye? You hypocrite, remove the wooden beam from your eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter from your brother's eye. Now this is interesting because if you look at this, this often gets taken out of context. Stop judging that you may not be judged. Don't judge the moral behavior of anybody else. You know, sometimes you have to judge people's behavior. You have to point it out, especially if it's somebody you might have control over, your children, your spouse, or a relationship. I shouldn't say control over, where you're expected to help them, you know, a sibling or somebody. There's times when you have to say, look, I have to tell you what you're doing. You're on the wrong track. I'm concerned about you. I love you, but whatever. But Jesus, if you read this through and don't stop at any particular point, he is saying, just make sure you got your own act cleaned up first before you start pointing the finger at other people. And if you read it all the way through, he says, once you make sure that your own house is in order, that you're in good shape, well, then you can more clearly see to possibly correct or guide somebody you love in a kind way. You know, sometimes we have to speak out of somebody if something is wrong. He expects us to. But we can't judge the motives of another. And we want to be really, really careful about even commenting on the actions of another before we look inward and say, well, how am I doing with this? So just be careful. And above all, when you look at the scriptures, when the Lord gives you a message, always try to apply it to yourself first. That's what I try to do. It's not always that easy, but it's something we really need to consider. Okay, the urgent plea. If you get my daily email reflection, I put this out last week. I asked for financial support to go forward with my daily email reflection. So I'm going to extend the same offer to you. You may not get the daily email, but maybe you just listen to the podcast. The summer is a difficult month. Speaking is just about dried up for me. And this is my full-time ministry, so it's challenging. I'm trying to make some decisions right now. So all I'm going to do is ask you, if you enjoy this podcast and you would like to have me continue to do the podcast and or the email reflection, I really could use your financial support. So if you'd be kind enough to consider becoming a monthly sponsor of my ministry, I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. And again, I have to make some decisions. Next year, it's looking a little tight as well. I just have to see where the Lord wants me to apply my efforts. So I love this podcast. I'd love to keep doing it. But I'm going to ask you, if you believe in it, if you enjoy it, if you would like to support me financially, now is the time. It really is. You can do that by going to followingthetruth.com and clicking on donate. What I really need is some monthly sponsors. So if you're able to set up a monthly subscription, $10 a month, more if you can, I would really appreciate it. You can cancel it at any time. It's not like you're ever locked in. But it would help me to budget and help me to move forward. Again, followingthetruth.com. You can do it securely through PayPal at the website just by clicking on donate. If you have any questions, email me at gary@followingthetruth.com. I'm not going to talk about this anymore this week, but thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. I pray for you every day. And if you can help me out financially, please go to followingthetruth.com. I would greatly appreciate it. God bless you. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.